Yes, sir. We've got the Dwarf Slayer. Rolly Romero going to be challenging Tank Davis for his WBA straps this week. And you know we got to talk about this one. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
They hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with that real, that raw, that uncut, the only way I know how to serve it. And you know we got to talk about Rolly Romero versus Tank Gervonta Davis. I probably should say it the other way around. The champion is Gervonta Davis. So let me rewind this back. And we're going to talk about Tank Gervonta Davis against the challenger, Rolly Romero. Now, for those of you who've been watching the build-up or who have any awareness as to these two fighters, you already know Rolly Romero is hell on wheels at a press conference or anytime he has a camera in front of him, and this build-up has been massive. This fight was supposed to happen, was it earlier this year? Or might have even been last year, actually. Let me check the schedule because I got it right here. Okay, yes, it actually was supposed to happen last year, but Rolly Romero ended up catching that case, and anyways, it got dismissed. They came, to kind of understand that it was a bunch of gold diggers trying to get money on Rolly, but this isn't about Rolly and his case. This is about Gervonta Davis facing Rolly Romero in this awesome buildup. It's going down at the Barclays Center this Saturday. What's the date? May 28th, 2022, folks. And no, it isn't Spence versus Crawford. No, it isn't Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. No, it isn't an undisputed title fight, but it is one of those fights that actually has casual boxing fans really intrigued, has non-boxing fans intrigued, and has the entire boxing world talking about it. And whether or not you are interested in watching Rolly Romero or Tank Davis fight, you're interested. People can pretend that they're not interested about watching Rolly Romero and Tank Davis fight, but we're all going to watch it. Now stop fronting for the gram and keep it real. We're all going to watch this fight. Now, I know I'm going to watch this fight because Rolly's pure comedy. He's the Dwarf Slayer. He's the one that's with that weirdo strike. Now, let's keep it real. Rolly Romero is not the most technical of operators. That isn't his strong suit. He does have an unusual amount of pop. I didn't calculate what his exact knockout ratio is, but when you look at Rolly Romero's record, he is 14-0. 12 of those have come by way of knockout, you guys. So he's only gone the distance twice. Now, he did win his interim belt or WBA interim lightweight title from Jackson Marinez in a very close fight that many people say that he got gifted the decision in. It was a unanimous decision win, but there might have been some corruption on the cards, a little bit of that Mayweather money going around to sprinkle and influence the judges, but I'm not a conspiracy boxing channel, so you're not going to hear me delve too much into that one. We got to accept what it is. They don't overturn these decisions easily unless some kind of crazy, negligent criminal fraud gets exposed. Either way, Rolly Romero is the interim title holder. He's got that shot at Tank Gervonta Davis. This was supposed to happen last year. Instead, he caught that case, and Tank ended up fighting Isaac Cruz and blessing Isaac Cruz with a loss that ended up, strangely enough, making Isaac Cruz a star. We've got Gervonta Tank Davis. Very few people in this boxing game. Let me rephrase this and run this back. When it comes to Tank Gervonta Davis, he has that rare star quality that very, very few fighters in this game has. You can count on one hand how many fighters can pack an arena with just the strength of their name alone. How many fighters will bring in celebrities to sit front row at their events. Tank is on a very short list, and yes, he is a star in the sport of boxing, and he's fighting this weekend. And Tank Gervonta Davis does have his critics. Leonard Ellerby and Floyd like to sell him as a 3-division boxing champion, but let's keep it a bean, y'all. Let's keep it a whole bean. Let's keep it a 100%er. He only has one legit title, and that is the strap they are fighting for. No, actually, not even that one. The real strap is held by the real strap is actually held by what's his name out there in Australia? George Kambosos Jr. Let me see what belt it is. Change up the WBA regular. The WBA is trying to clean up all these belts, so they got Tank Davis fighting for trying to defend his WBA lightweight title, and Rolly has the interim, and the real legit title belongs to George Kambosos Jr. My apologies, y'all. These belts are a damn mess. They are a stain on the sport of boxing. But regardless, let's call it a title. Tank the 3-division champion. Now, not many people are giving Rolly Romero a chance. I don't know what the betting lines are. Let's actually What is the betting odds for Rolly versus Tank? For Tank versus Rolly. Let's see. Hold on, I'm looking this up right now. Oh, goodness. Tank is the odds-on betting favorite. He's at negative 1,400, and Rolly is the live underdog at a plus 800. So the odds are against Rolly. What is that? Plus 800. I don't know. Put in 100, you get 800 back. I don't know if that counts as 8-1 odds. You got to put the ratio between the minus that is Tank Gervonta's ratio, and I'm not going to calculate all that. But the odds are significantly against Rolly Romero. Listen, we know Tank is a well-trained boxer. He's somewhat of a knockout artist and a puncher, but he definitely has a deep amateur pedigree. He won national titles as an amateur. We know that when needed, he can fight on the back foot. He can fight going laterally, and obviously he has that vicious one-punch stopping power that he developed his whole reputation on, kind of calling him, in effect, the mini Mike Tyson of Baltimore. And then we've got Rolly Romero. He kind of grew up doing judo, switched into boxing a little bit late. He has very unorthodox style, very unorthodox tactics, and has an unusual amount of pop. That's Rolly Romero in a nutshell. So, he's got that, yeah. You can count on Rolly Romero to make it an ugly fight. So you've got the technician, Tank Davis. You've got Rolly Romero, who likes to get inside and make it ugly. Now, I think all things being considered in a situation like this, you have to lean in favor of Tank Davis because your common sense brain tells you to lean in favor of Tank Davis, clearly. But you can't underestimate the kind of pop that Rolly Romero brings and the unorthodox style in which Rolly Romero brings to boxing. Rolly Romero does have the same Tank Davis one-punch stopping power. Whether or not folks want to embrace that or not, so regardless of what, there's always a puncher's chance. And Rolly Romero, in this situation, definitely has a puncher's chance to upset the world. And, my analytical boxing brain says Tank Davis is going to win this fight easily. But my heart says, if Rolly Romero pulls this off and turns over the apple cart, it would be so historic. I mean, as we know, styles make fights. We won't know until Tank Davis and Rolly Romero get in there what's going to happen when their styles mesh. Will it be Vernon Forrest versus Shane Mosley? Shane Mosley didn't have an answer for Vernon. In the same way, Vernon Forrest didn't have an answer for Ricardo Mayorga. You can say the same thing about Bernard Hopkins and Kelly Pavlik with Jermaine Taylor. Sometimes some people just have the answers for styles. Will this be the normal? Tank knocking them out, steamrolling Rolly Romero? Or will Rolly Romero turn out to be the modern-day Ricardo Mayorga and pull up the crazy stoppage and the crazy upset of the modern era? You tell me. I'm looking forward to this event. It's going to be a capacity crowd at the Barclays Center. Pay-per-view. Hell yes, I'm paying for it. I want to see the circus go down. When it comes to Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero, I'm going to have to lean in favor of Tank Davis. I'm thinking maybe he gets a stoppage. But do not put it past Rolly Romero to pull off the crazy upset. That's the hard part about this fight. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Rolly Romero. Oh my goodness. What is going on with my language, folks? Anyways, when it comes to Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero, I've got to use my analytical mind and go with the guy that has more tools. Clearly, that would be Tank Gervonta Davis. So I'm going to lean in favor of what I've seen from previous performances from both fighters and lean towards Tank Davis to win by late stoppage. But do not underestimate Rolly's determination and his perceived confidence coming in and his stopping power. Rolly has a puncher's chance. So I'm leaning in favor of Tank Gervonta Davis by late stoppage, but I would not be shocked if Rolly just overturned the apple cart and got the stoppage himself. Boxing community, how do you think this fight's going to end up? Let me know in the comments section, y'all. Let's chop this up. All right, now I'm going to switch away from Tank Davis and Rolly Romero, and let's talk about this past weekend just really quick. We saw Janibek Benavidez. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. There's like a hum in there with the Islamic thing going on. Janibek Benavidez did his thing against Danny Dignum. I think that's what his name was. Danny Dignum. He had no reason to be in there in that ring with Janibek. Janibek looked great. Janibek got the knockout. 2 minutes and 49 seconds into the second round. Vicious uppercut. He was in full control the whole time. Showed great technique. Showed great stopping power. Janibek Benavidez is the boogeyman of the middleweight division. I don't know how this is going to work out for Janibek. I don't see Jaime Munguia or Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andrade just jumping up to the call and saying, hey, I'm going to fight Janibek. Janibek is now the WBO interim middleweight champion, so he technically is going to be fighting, if I'm not mistaken, Demetrius Andrade. Either that or Demetrius Andrade has to vacate his strap. So it's interesting to see how this is going to develop. I would love to see Demetrius Andrade fight Janibek Alimkhanuly. I would actually lean towards Demetrius Andrade, strangely enough, but we'll see what happens. Janibek, hats off to that man. The new Kazakh style, and he was not shy at all about letting the world know he didn't think very highly of Triple G. Maybe Triple G doesn't get that Canelo fight. Maybe Triple G doesn't get the fight with Canelo and decides to address this new Kazakh threat in the form of Janibek Alimkhanuly and gives him that fight instead of Canelo. Who knows, folks? We'll have to see how this all plays out. David Benavidez, La Bandera Roja, or El Bandera Roja. David Benavidez had his fight this weekend in front of his hometown crowd at the Gila River Arena in Phoenix against a very game but severely overmatched David Lemieux. David Lemieux had a snowball chance in hell at landing that knockout check left hook against a guy who was not only taller than him, but had significantly more reach. After the rehydration and they walked into the ring, man, David Benavidez was looking a lot like a super middleweight / light heavyweight. He was looking like he might have probably been pulling about 185 pounds, 190 pounds. David Benavidez was way bigger, way younger, way stronger, and just outclassed David Lemieux. You got to give your hats off to David Lemieux. He was going out on his shield. David Lemieux got knocked down several times, was just catching a severe ass whipping, but was refusing to quit. His corner had to finally decide to throw in the towel, throwing mercy upon David Lemieux. Thank goodness, because I don't think fighters should take ass whippings to that degree, honestly. Interestingly enough, after the fight, Oscar De La Hoya chimed in on Twitter. After David Lemieux did his thing against... After David Benavidez did his thing against David Lemieux, Oscar De La Hoya chimed in on Twitter and said that David Benavidez is the best fighter at 168 pounds. Clearly a knock to his former fighter, Canelo Alvarez, that used to be signed to Golden Boy Promotions. Do you agree that David Benavidez is the best fighter at 168? Let me know in the comments section, folks. Personally, no. Clearly, Canelo Alvarez is still the undisputed champion. At 168 pounds, Canelo Alvarez is the man for all intensive measurements, and David Benavidez looks so amazing, you guys. So amazing. But it's hard because the David Benavidez fanboy train is collecting momentum. And anything that doesn't sound like straight up worship sounds like you're being a hater. And let's keep it real. Most of the David Benavidez fans aren't actually fans of David Benavidez. They're more just hateful towards Canelo and will do anything they can to besmirch the name of Canelo Alvarez. I don't really understand the phenomenon of being a hater, you guys. I praise all the fighters equally, but let's keep it real. It's the same people saying Canelo's ducking slick black fighters that are saying that Canelo is ducking David Benavidez. Canelo should stop what he's doing and fight somebody that has no belts. But actually, nobody in the super middleweight division has belts at this point. So at this point, he's going to have to fight people at 168. Otherwise, he goes and fights Dimitri Bivol again. I would still favor Canelo Alvarez in a matchup with David Benavidez simply for experience and past resume. We've seen Canelo Alvarez under the bright lights for damn near 10 years straight now, and he performs. When the pressure gets applied, when those lights get bright, and the audience gets to capacity crowd at whatever arena or whatever stadium he's at, Canelo will show up. He didn't show up against Dimitri Bivol, but guess what? It looked like Dimitri Bivol was just a little bit too high towards the sun for young Icarus to reach. But now he's got a position where he's either looking at a rematch with Bivol or that third fight with Triple G or a possible fight with David Benavidez, Jamal Charlo. We'll see what happens in the future. My hat's off to David Benavidez. El Bandera Roja is looking really polished, looking really scary with the offensive output. But regardless, I still think Canelo Alvarez is the man at the 168-pound weight division. Boxing community, what did you think about David Benavidez's performance? How do you think he stacks up against Canelo head-to-head? Let me know in the comment section, y'all. Let's chop this up. Anyways, y'all, hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Feel free to leave a comment. Are you not already following me? Till the next time, y'all. This is Hot Boxing Minute.